Oh dear. It has come to this. I've been looking forward to this stream, but also not particularly looking forward to this stream. All right, so the situation is we've downloaded the patch, but I haven't loaded anything up yet. I haven't tried to get into the game, apparently. There are problems with getting into the game, so this could be a very short stream. But we're going to take it slow. We're going to keep track of our fails, as always. All right. Well, I've got the launch button on the browser, so that's good. Well, maybe I should be streaming my desktop. What happens if I press launch game? It's a little bit different. But yeah, normally I keep track of whether or not the game loads or not. And recently, I haven't had any problems. So usually, if I load in the game, that's a win, and you could kind of see it as an easy win, like I'm padding the win numbers. But for times like this, I think this is why we keep track of the win count. Wow, I'm in a queue. How many seconds is that? Millions. Let's do some maths. Well, there's 60 seconds in a minute. We know that, right? Did that go up? 6 million. Let's say 6,700,000 divided by 60 is, well, that's 111,000 minutes. I guess there's 60 minutes in an hour, so let's divide it by 60 again. That is 1,861 hours. As we know, there's 24 hours in a day, so let's divide that by 24. That would be 77.5462,963 days. So that's less than a year, which is good news. That's a little over a month, right? A little over 2 months. Still got to wait for 2 months. What can we do for 2 months? Should I stream for 2 months? I could set some kind of streaming record. A 2-month stream. I'm definitely going to need more tea, I think. This is what it's like. This is what it's like to play Star Citizen. This is the real shit. It's like some. Can we call this a fail? Should we put a fail on the board for this? Having to wait 2 months to load in? I imagine other streamers would do something interesting or entertaining if they were in this position, right? Like, that's how you become a successful streamer, by being entertaining. I should have kept track of what position I started in. I know it was up to around 7 million seconds, and now I'm around the 5 million second mark. So that definitely wasn't 2 million seconds right now. But I think my original position was in the 5,000s, and I've gone down to around 4,000. So I might say this might take more than half an hour, I would say. What time I got now? I got 20 past 3 at the moment. Another benefit of being a popular streamer is that you have a chat to keep yourself company, right? You could chat to chat, and they would entertain you or entertain themselves. Let's imagine like another streamer, he would have this counter going off, or he or she would have this counter ticking in a corner while they do something else, right? Their main screen, maybe they're watching videos or they're doing something interesting or exciting, where you kind of have this counter going off in the corner. And instead we have this silence. Did that go up? We're in the 4 million ETA now. All right, now things are getting exciting. It's 3:21 now. So let's say I said half an hour. Let's say, I don't know when we started. Let's say 3:15. So 3:45. Hopefully, we're in the game before 3:45. If we're not in the game before 4 o'clock, then geez, what are we doing with our lives, man? What am I doing with my life? Right, so something entertaining. What have I got here that's entertaining? I could read a book. I've done that on stream before. Have you guys read Journey to the End of the Night? We have a book reading while we're waiting. How can I do this? See, some people will have interesting things to do, right? But I have book readings. Can I zoom in? Is that going to work? This book had some interesting moments in it. Ugh, my camera's totally balked. Of course. Why do I constantly need to rearrange my camera? Hi. So annoying. Like, it shouldn't change. All right. Let's do. Oh, the end stream button is right there. Ooh, so tempting. All right, let's try. Let's try a quick reading. A quick reading while we're waiting. Can I? Is there a way I can have? I can not obstruct the. I am in the way of the counter, aren't I? It's like right in the middle. Right, lean back like this. Okay. One can never be too anxious. That's a good start, right? Thanks to a certain ingenuity, I lost nothing but what self-respect I had left. This is what happened. Sometime after the Canary Islands, I learned from one of the stewards that my fellow passengers, by common accord, thought me affected, not to say insolent. That's bad, right? That they suspected me of being a pimp and a pederast. Quite sure what a pederast is. Is that like a pedophile? Something of a cocaine addict on the side, but only on the side. Then the suspicion made its way around that I must have left France to escape the consequences of certain heinous crimes. I wonder what they were. I'm still obstructing the counter. This is impossible. But I was only at the beginning of my troubles. Maybe I can move the camera a little bit. Maybe just a little bit like this. I'm poking out. I'm poking out to say hello. 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 We're in the 3 millions now. It's getting exciting. All right. So anyway, I'm a cocaine addict. At the point that I learned that this was on the line, it was customary to view paying passengers with extreme caution, accompanied by persecution. I'm speaking of those who are not travelling free, either on military transportation orders or on the basis of some bureaucratic arrangement. For as everyone knows, the colonies belong to the upper reaches of the administration. After all, there are very few plausible reasons for an unknown civilian to venture into those parts. The Canary Islands, I guess we're talking. A spy, a suspicious character. They found 1,000 reasons for giving me sinister looks. the officers straight in the eye, the ladies with a knowing smile. After a while, even the deckhands and stewards, encouraged by the passengers, took to exchanging heavily caustic remarks behind my back. In the end, no one doubted that I was the biggest and most intolerable. In fact, the only out-and-out blackguard on board. I'm the only one? There must be other blackguards. A promising outlook. 2 million seconds, come on. My neighbours at the table were 4 toothless and bilious postal officials from Gabon. Gabon. They had been friendly to me, chummy in fact at the start of the voyage. Now they never said a word to me. They had tactically agreed that I was a man to be watched. I seldom left my cabin, and then only with infinite precautions. That's a lot of precautions. The air was so hot, it weighed on our skins like a solid. Behind my bolted door, I laid naked, trying to imagine what plan those diabolical passengers had cooked up to destroy me. I didn't know anyone on board, yet they all seemed to know me. An exact description of me must have taken an instant form in their minds, like that of a famous criminal published in the newspapers. Through no fault of mine, I'd been cast in the indispensable role of the foul and loathsome villain. Shame of the human race, whose presence had been recorded down through the centuries, who was well known to everyone as God and the devil, but who during his passage on earth is so polymorphous and evasive as to elude everyone's grasp. For this villain to be at last isolated, identified, and cornered, exceptional circumstances had been needed, such as were to be met in the only narrow confines of the ship. A great moral carnival was in the offering aboard the Admiral Brogerton? The unclean beast would not escape his fate. That was me. This in itself made the whole trip worthwhile. Isolated among these spontaneous enemies, I laboured to identify them without their noticing. Especially in the morning, I was able to watch them with impunity through the portal of my cabin. Before breakfast, covered with hair from pubis to eyebrow and from their rectums to the soles of their feet, they would emerge to take air in the pyjamas that were transparent in the sunlight. Or glass in hand, sprawled against the rail, they would belch and retch, and especially the captain, with bulging, bloodshot eyes, whose liver started plaguing him at daybreak. Okay, so the captain's drunk, I guess. Regularly, at dawn, he would ask his cronies about me, curious to know if I hadn't been tossed overboard yet, like a gob of spit. 1 million seconds. We're in the 1 million seconds. This is getting exciting. And he'd illustrate his remark by projecting a turgid oyster into the frothing sea. That's gross. A turgid oyster. Boy, oh boy. The Admiral wasn't getting ahead very fast. The Admiral's the ship. Just groaning from roll to roll, as it was more like a sickness than a voyage. As I examined the members of the morning council from my portal, they all seemed rather seriously ill, malarial, alcoholic, syphilitic, in all likelihood. At a distance of 30 feet, their visible decay was some consolation for my own troubles. These big mouths, after all, were just as defeated as I was. Still bragging and nothing more. That was the only difference. The mosquitoes had worked them over, sucking their blood and pumping their veins full of poisons that would never go away. Treponemas were filing away their arteries. Alcohol was corroding their livers. The sun was cracking their kidneys. Crab lice were clinging to the pubic hair and eczema to the skin of their bellies. The searing light would scorch their retinas. In not so long a time, what would be left of them? A bit of brain? To do what with, I ask you? Where were they going? To commit suicide? Where were they going? A brain wouldn't do... Where they were going, a brain wouldn't do them a bit of good. No two ways. It's no joke growing old in a place where there's nothing to do. But look yourself in the mirror with a verdigris of silvering. I don't know what that means. A verdigris for silvering, and see yourself getting seedier and seedier, more and more decrepit. Rot sets in quickly in the green mansions, especially when it's atrociously hot. Wow, are we below 1 million seconds now? That's 999,000. Wow, it's really. And oh yeah, it's what's it, 3:34 now. So that's that's a few minutes. It's been a few minutes. Still not 3:45 yet. The north at least preserves your flesh. Northerners are pale once and for all. Between a dead Swede and a young man who has a bad night, there's not much to choose. But the day after a colonial lands, he is already full of maggots. Those infinitely laborious little worms have been waiting for him personally, and stay with him longer than life will. He's a bag of worms. That is all. I moved my camera, but I'm still covering the counter. What do we think? Have we had enough of Journey to the End of the Night? I really love this book. Good is that book? Maybe I should put a win on the board for the book. Chat is ready to display messages. Good job, Restream. It's 381, 295, 231. What's gonna happen? What's gonna happen? It's gonna like DC or something. I'm gonna have to like restart my computer. This is the real Star Citizen. This is what it's really like. $209, here we go, boys. My excitement is palpable. Hello, sweetheart. 105? Oh, you made a hamburger? Thank you. My daughter made me a hamburger. 61. We're position number 61. Thank you. 25. Good job. All right, here we go. Here we go. 21. You ready? Wait for it. Wait for it. Number 20. Number 20 still. All right. Character retrieval and readiness. That's pretty exciting. Entitlement processing? Okay. My entitlement has been processing most of my life. If this works, I assume most of my keybinds are fucked. I think. We'll wait. We'll wait to see. We'll wait to see what happens. But now I don't have a counter. I just have this screen. Do you think CIG is trying to tell me something? Should I go back to the book? Have I 30k'd already? Wouldn't it be great if I got sent back? It crashed somehow, and I got sent back to the beginning. Yeah, it was delicious. It's a delicious hamburger. You're really good at making hamburgers, so yeah. Thank you. This is it. This is what the stream is going to be. All right, let's put another fail on the board there and press OK. Can I press OK? Where's my cursor? I don't have a cursor. I don't have a cursor. Okay. All right, so I don't have a cursor. I'm going to put another fail on the board for not having a cursor. All right. Ask to all right. All right. You. I wonder if I have to update my drivers. Be bad. GeForce Experience is updating. Okay. I wonder if we can get through the whole novel in this stream. Yeah, there is a new update. I don't know if that's going to affect my game or not having that update. All right, let's try again. All right, what's your prediction? What number are we gonna get? We're gonna get. Last time I think it was like 7 million. Is it gonna be higher or lower than 7 million seconds? pretty sure that they've disabled character resets. No, it's about 7 million again. Alright, let's get back to the book. What else? I want to read another passage. He was a natural-born coward. I knew it, and so did he. He kept hoping we'd save him from the truth. But on the other hand, I was beginning to wonder if there was anywhere such a thing as a real coward. Does that make sense? It looks like any man has his things he's willing to die for, quickly and gladly. Except that a chance to die pleasantly, the chance he's looking for, doesn't always materialize. So he goes off to die the best he can. He sticks around on Earth, and everyone takes him for a jerk and a coward. But the truth is, he simply lacks conviction. He only seems to be a coward. That's generous. Robinson wasn't prepared to die under the conditions offered. Under different conditions, he might have been delighted. All in all, death is something like a marriage. This particular death didn't appeal to him, and that was the long and the short of it. Then he'd have to resign himself and accept his helplessness and distress. But for the moment, he was frantically busy, splotching his soul with misery and distress. Later, he'd put order into his misery. Later, he'd put order into his misery, and then in a new real life would begin. He'd have to. You may not believe me, he said to me that evening after dinner, piecing bits of memories together. I've never had much of a gift for languages, but you do know. Towards the end in Detroit, I managed to carry on a bit of conversation in English. I've forgotten it now, except for one little phrase. 2 words. They've been coming back to me ever since this thing happened to my eyes. Gentlemen first. That's about all I can say in English now. I don't know why. Of course, it's an easy thing to remember. Gentlemen first. To take his mind off his troubles, we tried talking in English together. We kept repeating, gentlemen first, over and over again, like idiots, apropos of nothing and everything. A private joke. And in the end, we taught it to Henry? My French is bad. Would it be Henry? Or would it be, we wouldn't say the E, but do we say the H? Ennui? Who'd come up for a while and keep tabs on us. While staring at memories, we started wondering what might be left of that. Of the things we'd known together. We wondered what would have become of Molly, our sweet Molly. As for Lola, I'd just as soon have forgotten her. But come to think of it, I'd have welcomed news of them both. Even little Mussine, while I was at it, he was probably living in Paris nearby. Practically next door, in fact. Still, I'd have to bestir myself to find out about her. There were so many people whose names, mannerisms, and addresses I had lost, whose friendliness, and even their smiles, after so many years and years of trouble and worrying about the next meal, must have turned into pathetic grimaces. Like old cheeses. Even memories have their youth. When you let them grow old, they turn into revolting phantoms, dripping with selfishness, vanity, and lies. They rot like apples. So we talked about our youth, mulling it over. We didn't trust it. Which reminded me, I hadn't been to see my mother for a long time, and those visits had never done my nervous system any good. When it came to sadness, my mother was worse than me. Still, in her little shop, she seemed, after all those years and years, to make a point of piling up disappointments around her. When I went to see her, she said, "You know, Aunt Hortensens died 2 months ago out in these French words are impossible to say. Coutances. Maybe you should have gone. And Clement, remember Clement, the four-polisher who played with you when you were little? Well, they picked him up the other day, before yesterday, on the Rue de Alborqueux. He hadn't eaten in 3 days. Oh dear. Poor Clement. He hadn't eaten in 3 days, but look what I have to deal with." Robinson's childhood had been so dismal he didn't know what to say when he thought of it. Except for the episode when the lady customer, he couldn't find anything, even in the far corners, that didn't make him sick with despair. It was like a house full of repugnant, foul-smelling objects. Brooms, slop, jars, housewives, and smacks in the face. Monsieur Henri had nothing to say of his own youth except his military service. Except that he had taken a picture with a pom-pom, and that picture was still hanging over the wardrobe. When he'd gone back down, Robinson told me how he worried he was never going to get the promised 10,000 francs now. "Don't count on them," was my advice. I thought it best to prepare him for the new disappointment. Some bits of shot left over from the explosion kept surfacing at the edges of his wound. I removed them in several installments, a few each day. The pain was bad when I probed just above the conjunctiva. We'd taken every possible precaution, but the neighbourhood people gossiped right and left all the same. Luckily, Robinson suspected nothing. It would have made him a lot sicker than he was. No doubt about it. There was a suspicion all around us. Moving about the house in her slippers, Madame Henri was quieter and quieter. You weren't expecting her, and then she'd be right on top of you. What with all the reefs all around us, the least doubt could wreck us all. Then the whole ship would crack, split, crash, come apart at the seams, and wash up on the shore. Robinson's grandmother, the fireworks, the rabbit, his eyes, the unlikely son, the murdering daughter-in-law, we'd all end up with our garbage, with our rotten secrets in the office of some furibund examining magistrate. I wasn't very pleased with myself. Not that I'd done anything positively criminal. I hadn't. But I felt guilty all the same. I was especially guilty of wishing deep down that this whole business would go on. In fact, I couldn't see any objection to all of us together drifting deeper and deeper into the night. To tell the truth, there was no need of wishing things. Things were moving all by themselves, and moving fast. Speaking of moving fast, we're at the 4 million seconds. Isn't this exciting? I think I could just choose any part of this book, and it'll be really interesting. On the other side of the court, which is more like a well shaft, the wall would begin to light up, first one and then 2 rooms, then dozens. I could see what was going on in some of them. Couples going to bed. These Americans seemed as worn out as our own people after their vertical hours. The vertical hours. That's good. The women had very full, very pale thighs. At least the ones that I was able to get a good look at. Before going to bed, most of the men shaved without taking the cigars out of their mouths. In bed, they first took off their glasses, then put their false teeth in a glass of water, which they left in evidence. Same as in the street. The sexes didn't seem to talk to each other. They impressed me as fat, docile animals. Used to being bored. In all, I only saw 2 couples engaging with the lights on the kind of thing I'd expect. And not at all violently. The other woman ate chocolates in bed while waiting for their husbands to finish shaving, and then they all put their lights out. There's something to be said about people going to bed. You can't say you don't give a damn about where they're getting... You can see they don't give a damn about whether they're getting what they want out of life or not. You can see they don't even try to understand what we're here for. They just don't care. Americans or not, they sleep no matter what. They're bloated mollusks. No sensibility, no trouble with their conscience. I'd seen too many puzzling things to be easy in my mind. I knew too much, and not enough. I'd better get out, I said to myself. I better go out again. Maybe I'll meet Robertson. Naturally, that was an idiotic idea. But I dreamed it up as an excuse for going out again, because no matter what, no matter how much I tossed and turned in my narrow bed, I couldn't snatch the tiniest scrap of sleep. Even masturbation, at times like that, provides neither comfort nor entertainment. Then you're really in despair. The worst part is wondering how you'll find the strength tomorrow to go on doing what you did today and have been doing for much too long. Whether you'll find the strength at all, that stupid thing running around, those projects that come to nothing, those attempts to escape from crushing necessity, which always founder and serves only to convince you one more time that destiny is implacable, that every night will find you down and out, crushed by the dread of more and more sordid and insecure tomorrows. Jesus, this book is insane. And maybe it's treacherous old age coming on, threatening the worst, not much music left inside us for life to dance to. Our youth has gone to the ends of the earth to die in the silence of truth. And where, I ask you, can a man escape to when he hasn't enough madness left inside him? The truth is an endless agony. The truth is death. You have to choose. Death or lies. I've never been able to kill myself. I'd better go out into the street. A partial suicide. Everyone has his little nicks, a way of helping and food. Well, I can't read. Everyone has their little knacks, his ways of getting sleep and food. I need to sleep if I wanted to recover the strength I'd need to go to work the next day. Get back the zip it would take to find a job in the morning, and in the meantime, force my way into the unknown realm of sleep. Don't go thinking if it's easy to fall asleep when you've started doubting everything. Mostly because of the awful fears people have given you. It's 2 million seconds. I dressed and somehow found my way to the elevator, but feeling kind of foggy, I still had to cross the lobby to pass the more rows of ravishing enigmas. Okay, let's read this. I still had to cross the lobby to pass more rows of ravishing enigmas with legs so tempting, faces so delicate and severe. Goddesses. In short, hustling goddesses. We might have tried to make an arrangement, but I was afraid of being arrested. Complications. Nearly all the poor bastard's desires are punishable by jail. So here I was on the street again. It wasn't the same crowd as before. This one billowed over the sidewalks and showed a little more life, as if it had landed on a country less arid and a land of entitlement, of nightlife. I'm still 2 million seconds. The people surged in the direction of lights suspended far off into the darkness. Writhing multicolored snakes, they flowed from all of the neighboring streets. A crowd like that, I said to myself, adds up to a lot of dollars in handkerchiefs alone, or silk stockings, or just cigarettes in, for that matter. And to think that you can go out, among all that money, and nobody will give you a single penny, not even to go and eat with. It's heartbreaking to think how many people shut themselves off from one another, like houses. I too dragged myself towards the lights. A movie house, and then another right next to it, and another, all along the street. We lost big chunks of the crowd to each of them. I picked a movie house with the posters of women in slips and legs, boy, heavy, ample, shapely, and pretty faces on top, as though drawn for the contrast. No need for retouching, not a blemish, not a flaw. Perfect, I tell you. Delicate but firm and concise. Life can engender no great peril than these incautious beauties, these discreet variations on perfect divine harmony. Oh, it's 1 million seconds. It was warm and cozy in the movie house. An enormous organ, as mellow as in a cathedral, a heated cathedral, organ pipes like thighs. They don't waste a moment. Before you know it, you're bathing in an all-forgiving warmth. Just let yourself go, and you begin to think the world has been converted into a loving kindness. I was almost myself. Dreams rise in the darkness and catch fire from the mirage of moving lights. What happens on the screen isn't quite real. It leaves open a vague, cloudy space for the poor, for dreams and the dead. Hurry, cram yourself full of dreams to carry with you through the life that's waiting for you outside. When you leave here, to help you last a few more days in that nightmare of things and people. Among the dreams, choose the ones that are most likely to warm your soul. I have to confess that I picked the sexy ones. No point in being proud. When it comes to miracles, take the ones that will stay with you. A blonde with unforgettable tits and shoulders saw fit to break the silence of the screen with a song about her loneliness. I'd have been glad to cry about it with her. There's nothing like it. What a lift it gives you. After that, I knew I'd have the courage enough in my guts to last me at least 2 days. I didn't even wait for the lights to go on. Once I'd absorbed a small dose of that admirable ecstasy, I knew I'd sleep. My mind was made up. When I got back to the Laugh Calvin, the night clerk, despite my greeting, neglected to say good evening the way they do at home. But his contempt didn't mean a thing to me anymore. An intense inner life suffices to itself. It can melt an ice pack that has been building up for 20 years. That's a fact. In my room, I barely closed my eyes when the blonde from the movie house came along and sang her whole song of sorrow just for me. I helped her put me to sleep, so to speak, and it succeeded pretty well. I wasn't entirely alone. It's not possible to sleep alone. Pretty good, right? Pretty good. Pretty good. Well, I'm assuming that if this fucks up again, then that's it for this stream. How long have we been streaming for? But it's a good, that's 50 minutes. It's not too bad. I think in the next 10 minutes we're going to, thank you, Restream chat. The next 10 minutes or so, we're going to figure out whether we'll be able to get in or not. All right, so we had a problem with entitlement last time. Let's see. What happens next? We got 3 fails at the moment. One fail was this whole counter business to begin with. The second was it failing at the entitlement stage. And the third one was the mouse pointer. My mouse pointer disappearing. I didn't put a fourth one on for having to line up again. So if this fails again, if it fails in a new way, then I'll put another fail on the board, I think. But if it fails in the same way, maybe I'll still put a fail on the board because it's kind of ridiculous. All right, come on. 100. 28. This is brutal. This is brutal. $56. Oh, went from 56 to entitling to processing my entitlement. That skipped a beat, right? Wasn't there like some sort of character retrieval thing before entitling processing my entitlement? This is gonna fail. This is gonna fail again. What's gonna happen? What's gonna happen? I'm glad I'm recording all of this for prosperity. Maybe this is it. Maybe the game just never works ever again. The game is just broken forever. Bada bing, bada boom. Come on, just fail. Some people took off time from work to do this. Can't imagine. Oh, you motherfucker. Right. What is the code? 1904. Please verify your login credentials and try again. So it's please verify your login details. It's in this task. Verify my login details. That's interesting. What does that mean? What if I log out of the launcher? Verify my login details. How do I log out? Log out. Right. So what are my login details? Oh, oh, now we're getting a failure. That's a new fail. A new failure message there. Star Citizen has unexpectedly quit. Let's verify. This won't work, by the way. Verifying never works. Let's try it. Verified. Dating. Yep. Launch game. Acknowledge. Oh, it worked this time. Usually that doesn't work. Wow. What a... At least that was a new problem. All right, so I think I'm going to put another fail on the board for it failing again. But maybe that was my fault for not verifying my login details. Wow. This has been it's been a total dumpster fire. I wish I'd done that before, because back to 7 million seconds. What time is it now? It's 10 past 4. Okay. Jeez, what should I do? Make myself an enchilada? It's mental. I think this is giving me a headache. All right, back to it. The problem with this book is that it has too many French words in it, names and places. All right, so during the night, we'd cage a few minutes here and there. What is CADGE? I don't know what that means. But they do it a few minutes here and there and came pretty close to the blessed days of peace. Those days now seem too good to be true, when everything was benign, when nothing really mattered, when we did so many things that had come to seem so marvelously, superlatively delightful. Days of peace, days of living velvet. But soon the nights as well were a merciless torment. Almost every night we'd have to keep our weary bones at work, put up with a little extra torture, just so as to eat or to catch a little nap in the darkness. The food convoys moved up to the front lines at a disgraceful crawl, along limping lines of shaky wagons and bursting with meat, prisoners, wounded, oats, rice, and MPs. And don't forget the wine in big jiggling pot-belly jugs that reminded us all of high old times. Behind the rolling forge and the bread wagon men came dragging themselves on foot, prisoners in handcuffs, some of theirs and some of ours, condemned to this or that, lashed by the wrists to the MP's stirrups, some due to be shot the next day, and no downer in the mouth than the others. Interesting. It didn't spoil their appetites either. They ate their ration, that of tuna fish that's so indigestible, like they wouldn't have time to digest it. While waiting by the side of the road for the convoy to shovel off, they ate their last chunk of bread too, with a civilian chained to them, who was said to be a spy, but he didn't know it, and neither did we. The military torture continued in its nocturnal aspect, groping our way through the humpback streets of a village without a light or face, bent unto sacks that weighed more than a man, from one unknown barn to another, threatened and yelled at, haggard, with no better prospect than to end in a sea of liquid manure, sickened at the thought that we'd been tortured, duped into the entrails by a gang of vicious lunatics who had suddenly become incapable of doing anything else than killing and spilling their guts without knowing why. We'd flopped down between two manure piles, but the non-coms would soon kick and bellow us to our feet and send us to different parts of the convoy to load or unload something else. The village darkness was gorged with food and soldiers, bloated with fat, apples, oats, sugar, that we had to haul around and distribute to this squad and that squad. That convoy had brought everything except a ticket home. Our detail was dead tired. We dropped right next to our cart, and the sergeant major would come around and shine his lantern on the corpses. He was an ape with a double chin. Regardless of the chaos, he had to find a watering place for the horses. Oh yes, the horses had to drink, but I've seen 4 men, arse and all, drop with fatigue and fall fast asleep with water up to their necks. After the watering, we had to find the alley we'd come by and get back to the farm, where we thought we'd left the rest of our squad. If we didn't find it, we could always pass out at the foot of some wall and sleep for an hour, if there was an hour left. In this business of getting killed, it's no use being picky and choosy. You've got to act as if life were going on, and that lies the hardest part of it. The wagon started back to the rear. In flight from the dawn, they hit the road again. Squeaking in every crooked wheel, off they drove, and with them my prayer that they'd be ambushed, cut to pieces, and burned that same day, the way you see in war pictures, a supply column wiped out forever and ever, with its escorts of MP, guerrilla, horse soldiers, and lantern-swinging non-coms, with its work details, its sacks of lentils and flour that would never be cooked and never be seen again. Because there were many different ways of kicking in, of exhaustion or of something else, but the worst is to do it while hauling enough sacks to fill the night with. The day when those motherfucking wagons would be shattered to the axles and they'd leave us alone, I thought. And even for one night, I would be able to sleep with body and soul. This food supply business was just one more nightmare, a nasty little monster on top of the big one, the war. Brutes to the right of us, brutes to the left of us, they were all over the place. Condemned to a deferred death. The only thing that really mattered was an enormous longing for sleep. All the rest was torture. Even the time and effort it took to eat. A bend in the brook, a familiar-looking wall, but mostly it was the smells that helped us find our farm. We'd reverted to dogs in the wartime night of the deserted village. We'd reverted to dogs in the wartime night of the deserted villages. That's a hard sentence to say. The smell of shit was the best guide of all. The quartermaster Top Kick was the guardian of the regiment's hatred. He, until further notice, was the master of the world. Anyone who talks about the future is a bastard. It's the present that counts. Invoking posterity is like making speeches to the worms. There in the wartime village night, the Top Kick was corralling human cattle for the big slaughterhouses that he had just opened. The top sergeant was the king of death, King Setrel, absolutely nobody more powerful, and nobody as powerful except one of their top sergeants on the opposite side. Nothing was left of the village. No living thing except terrified cats. First, the furniture went, smashed up for firewood, chairs, tables, sideboards. From the lightest to the heaviest, and anything that the boys could carry they made off with. Combs, lamps, cups, silly little things. Even bridal wreaths. Everything went. And if we'd had years of life ahead of us, they'd looted to take their minds off their troubles, as if they had years of life left of us. They looted to take their minds off their troubles, to make it look as if they had years before them. Everybody likes that feeling. As far as they were concerned, gunfire was nothing but noise. That's why wars can keep going. Even the people who make them, who fight them, don't really get the picture. Even with a bullet right in their gut, they go on picking up old shoes that might come in handy. The way a sheep, lying on its side in the meadow, will keep on grazing with its dying breath. God damn. Most people don't die until the last moment. Others start 20 years in advance, sometimes more. Those are the unfortunates. I wasn't very bright myself, but at least I had a sense enough to opt for cowardice once and for all. I imagine that's why people thought I was so uncommonly calm. Be that as it may, I inspired to a paradoxical confidence in our captain, who decided that night to entrust me with a delicate mission. It consisted, he told me in confidence, of trotting before daylight to the Noncieux-sur-la-Lie, a city of weavers, situated some 10 miles from the village where we camped. My job was to find out at first hand whether the enemy was there or not. All that day, patrols had been contradicting one another, and the general was good and sick of it. For that reconnaissance mission, I was allowed to pick one of the less purulent horses in the platoon. I hadn't gone out alone in a long time. It made me feel as if I was starting on a trip, but my feeling of deliverance was illusory. I was so tired when I set out hard as I tried, I couldn't properly visualize my own murder. I couldn't fill in the details. I moved from tree to tree, accompanied by the clanking of my hardware. All by itself, my pretty saber made as much noise as a piano. I don't know if I was deserving of sympathy, but for sure, I was certainly grotesque. What could the general have been thinking, sending me out alone in that silence, all clothed in cymbals? Cymbals as in the drum cymbals. What could the general have been... the Aztecs, so the story goes, routinely disemboweled 8,000 faithful a week in their temples of the sun, a sacrifice to the god of the clouds to make him send rain. Such things are hard to believe until you get mixed up in a war. Once you're in a war, you see how it is. The Aztecs' contempt for other people's bodies was the same as my humble viscera might have inspired our above-mentioned general, who, thanks to a series of promotions, had become a kind of chicken shit god in an abominably exigent little son. Wow, that's hard to say. one tiny bit of hope I had left was being taken prisoner. It didn't amount to much, a shred in the night, because of the circumstances weren't conducive to polite preliminaries. Far from it. The foe wouldn't shoot first and introduce himself afterwards. Besides, what would I say to this soldier? Hostile by definition, who would come from the other end of Europe for the express purpose of murdering me. Suppose he hesitated for 1 second. That's all that I would need. What would I say to him? And come to think of it, what would he be? A sales clerk, a professional soldier, a gravedigger? In civilian life, a cook? Horses are lucky. They're stuck with the war same as us, but no one expects them to be in favor of it, pretend to believe in it. Unfortunate, yes, but free. Enthusiasm, the stinker, was reserved for us. I could see the road clearly then, and plunked down on the mud beside it. Big squares and cubes of houses, their walls whitened by the moonlight. Big, unequal blocks of ice, pale and silent. Would this be the end of it all? How much time would I spend in this desolation after they'd done for me? Before it was all over? In what ditch? Besides, which one of these walls would they come and finish me off? With a knife? Sometimes they gouged out your eyes, cut off your hands, and so on. There were all sorts of rumours on the subject, and they were no joke. A hoofbeat, another would be enough. What's this? What's this? Crabs. Oh, wow, yeah, it's a crab. Thank you so much. Should I eat it? What if I just have a little bite? Ah! Thank you. My nose hurts.
Okay.
Thank you. Eat it? Should I eat it?
Yes.
Alright, let's see it.
It's chocolate.
Ah! You got me.
Put it in the water.
Thank you.
Well, what happened to your nose?
The crab pinched it.
Okay.
Thank you. My hand is sore.
Let me take the kaki to the crabs.
I think yeah. I'm waiting in line for this game that will never let me in. I ate a banana and my leg fell off.
No. The crab in the hand is here.
Oh, I see. The crab. The crab bit me. I'm drinking tea, but maybe I should be drinking vodka. Ah, good. The doctor's here. Okay, doctor, what should we do?
Oh. No. Swing this a little bit.
Yeah, you got an idea? Whoa! Alright. Have a look at my hand.
You have a kanisareta.
Kanisarata? What does that mean? Oh, the kani bit my hand. What's next?
I need you to take the eyes.
Alright, so you're gonna check my eyes?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, it's fingers.
Dodgy.
Like this.
Alright.
Fingers.
Finger? Okay.
Here.
Okay. Beep. Is it okay? How's my finger?
This.
Looks bad, right?
You take the candy salad down and like this. And the tomato.
Okay, ready?
No, no. Take the medicine and you did that feel better.
Okay.
What?
At least I have my daughter to keep me company. Is that a win? Should I put that on the board? I'm not sure if she's coming back. Maybe she got bored. She got bored of this. Oh.
Jump. Jump.
What have you got? This.
That isn't sick. Like this. Cut. And teeth here.
Oh, you got a tooth?
What are you doing?
Oh, my tooth.
What,
Oh,
what happened?
I have a bad tooth.
Oh, don't worry. Um.
Ah. Oh.
You take the tooth.
Okay, we should take the tooth out.
And check the ears.
Check my ears.
Yes. Look, ooh, it's orange.
Yeah, it's orange.
Orange flashlight. You
Orange
take the blue like the green.
Wow, that's cool.
You take it like this and hang your leg.
What about my tooth?
My tooth. Here, tooth.
Can we take it out?
Yeah.
Where's your tweezers?
I said this one.
Alright, let's do it.
Yes, there.
I'm scared.
Don't worry.
Ooh, you got it. Yes, nice work.
What's wrong with your crabs? Gummy boy?
Gummy boy.
Daddy, what happened? You have a hand.
Character retrieval and readiness. Okay, so that's didn't skip that part this time. I ate a banana and my leg fell off.
No, you take the crab and...
Oh, the crab bit my hand.
Okay.
This is not going to work, is it? Oh no, you have to cut your hand off. What's going to happen? Like, it's going to fail at this part now?
My glasses.
It's going to fail here. We're not even going to get up to entitlement processing. Don't touch anything, sweetheart. Well, it's going to fail here. It's going to fail here at this point. Oh no. Oh no. I'm fairly sure that character resets are disabled. But I can try. again later at another time. Not this stream. I can't believe it's going to fail here. Unbelievable. I tried to load in to Star Citizen and it didn't work.
Okay.
Are you a computer doctor as well as a regular doctor?
Did two?
Yes. Attention. Well, that's it. Shut them in. Well, that's it. We tried. We tried our best. That was 3 times we tried. So I think that's a pretty good effort. Fortunately, we had my wonderful daughter to help. I'm going to try some other things. Let's put another fail on the book. Why not? Why not?
Peter, we need that. Then what happened?
I ate a banana and my leg fell off.
No, Daddy, you take the tooth.
All right, let's say goodbye. Bye bye.